Abraham Lincoln. Thank you, General Grant. Greetings, citizens. On this day, November 19th, 1863, our first national cemetery was dedicated in Gettysburg, nearby Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The primary speaker was a man named Edward Everett, who spoke for 2 hours, giving a summation of how the war had progressed since the secessionist Beauregard had fired on Fort Sumter, commanded by Major John Anderson. And the war was started by the plantation class in the South. Nullification had been proposed. Nullifying the Union had been proposed years before. And the issue of slavery, which had been kicked down the road, swept under the rug in 20-year increments since our founding, since our Constitution was founded, when they couldn't agree on is a black man 3/5 of a person, as Mark Twain noted in several of his excellent works of the time, including Huckleberry Finn. We're limited by time. Perception and timing may not be everything, but they're most of it. So take yourselves back in your heads to a very solemn situation. Dead horses still unburied. The stench of death still in the air. Edward Everett speaks for near 2 hours. Then Lincoln rises. He reaches into his hat for his backup copy of his address, which he called appropriate dedicatory remarks. I think someone held his hand. Thank you, Steve. Major, Colonel. And back to the solemnity. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived can long endure. We're met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor powers to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us. And from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.